Hello everyone, my name is Martin Bialas, I'm a member of Atavism team, and today I will present you auction house functionality. So let's start. I will start from presenting you information about global parameters which you can set in Atavism. So let's open Atavism editor window, click on window and Atavism online. And here let's navigate to server group and game settings. Let's switch to edit tab and let's type auction. So this will narrow down our options, our parameters to only parameters which will contain auction in the auction phrase. So here we have few parameters for auction house. First is auction start price value, and the second is auction start price value percentage. These two are similar. The first is fixed price and the second is percentage. But what for these parameters are? So basically these parameters define the price for the listing items. So if you will list for example a sort, this price, this fixed value, and in addition it can be percentage as well, so you can use both or only one depending on your preference. These values will be taken from your in addition from your backpack when you will want to list when your player will want to list an item on the auction. So for example, we want to sell a sword for 100 bronze. We have this price auction start price value set to 10. So basically we will want to sell a sword for 100 bronze, and in addition we will have to pay 10 bronze because this value will be set to 10. Of course, the auction currency will be set to bronze. Then we have this second parameter is percentage. So if this parameter will be set to 10%, in addition auction will take from us another 10% from the listed price value. So in our case, if our sword if we will want to sell our sword for 100 bronze, then in addition it will take 10 bronze because of this value, and 10% from the 100 is also 10, so 120 for the listing an item. Then we have similar group to the previous one, so we have auction cost price value and auction cost price value percentage. So these first parameters defining price which will be subtract for the listing an item, and this another group is basically the price will be subtract when your auction will end successfully. So if you will sell the item and for this 100 bronze, for example, we paid 120 bronze in total. So 20. So basically, 100 is the price for which we want to sell the item, and 20 bronze we paid for the listing and auction. And here, if we will sell the item for the 100 bronze, because that was the price for which we wanted to list it, then these values will define additional fee of the sold of the finished auction, successfully finished auction. So if we will have the same or similar value as previously, so let's assume that it will be set to 10 and 10% percentage as well. So let's if we will calculate this, it will subtract 10 bronze from our total price, and 10% 10% in addition from our total price. So it will consume also 20 bronze from our cash. So instead of taking 100 bronze, our player or we will take 80 bronze in total after we will sell the item. Then we have another parameter, auction duration. This auction duration is in days, so we can define for how long the auction will be presented in the auction house, and after that time, Atavism server will set the auction as expired, and this auction won't be visible in the auction house anymore. So you can define this number of days to set the basically expiration time. Then we have auction currency. So this is basically our main auction currency, and basically we are defining here main currency for the auction house. So we can check what currency we have right now. In the items group, let's switch to currencies. Let's switch to edit tab. As we can see, we have gold, silver, bronze and diamonds. Let's switch to bronze so we could see the how the groups will working. So let's get back to our game settings and let's save it as free, because free was the ID of our currency, bronze currency. Then we have auction limit. So this limit is this value is the limit of the number of the auctions which will be sent by the server to your player, and the player won't be able to get more auctions than this auction limit. This is for the of course for the performance reasons, so to not send too much data to the clients, you can limit it whatever you want. But of course, it should be some reasonable value, like 100 or something like that. Then we have last global parameter. It's auction own limit, and this parameter is the limit of the total limit of the auctions which player can have in total on the auction house. So this will include listed items and also orders, because I will show you this in the later stage. Player not only can list an item for sale, but also player can basically place an order to purchase some items using auction house. So these are global parameters. Now I will show you one more element related to auction house interface. And to do this, we have to open our world scene. So I opened it before. It's main world basically. So it's the default scene in Atavism. Let's expand it. Let's move to canvas. Let's expand canvas windows, and then we should find basically auction house game object. Let's click on it, and at the bottom of this game object components, let's find menu settings, and here we have menu filter. This menu is basically a tree, so menu filter is a root and without actual name, and then we have main groups like armor, weapon, consumable, material, bag, ammo, junk, and so on. You can change it, you can adjust it, you can add more or remove some elements which you don't want to have in your auction. So basically, maybe we don't want to have junks, but of course we have junks in game. So for this tutorial, for this presentation, and by default we also set junk here as a global or main group for the auctions. And how does this filter work? So basically these are main groups, and if we will switch to our items, let's switch to items and let's edit some item. For example, armor, let's say, plate. And as you can see, we have armor with, this is basically item type armor, there is subtype, and there is slot. So these three attributes are responsible for presentation in our auction tree. So we have, if we'll expand our armor section, we will see that we have basically name. So this name will be presented in our tree as a name. Then we have value. So this value will be compared to item type, subtype, or slot, depending on this type option. So if we will set this type to type, it will be compared to our item type option, item type value. If we will set it to subtype, it will be compared to our subtype option, subtype value, like here. If we will set it to slot, it will be compared to our slot value. So in this case, because it's a main group, we have it set to we have name armor, and we have set this value to armor. So with type as a type, it will be compared to item type armor. Of course, you can define different types of the items. It can be defined in the server option choices, and here in the edit tab you can see that we have item type, weapon type, armor type. So these are basically these global these types elements like weapon, armor, consumable. So you can see that these elements in most cases are covered here. You can add more, remove some, and adapt it wherever you want. Then we have, let's expand this armor. Then we have submenu, and here we have cloth, plate, leather, and jewelry. So let's expand. For example, let's say plate. We had plate item in the Atavism editor before. So here we have name plate, value plate, and type 1. There is no list anymore. So basically type is, this is an array, and type has value 0, subtype 1, and slot has value 2. So value 1 means that we will use subtype for this value to compare it to Atavism value. So in this case, if we will switch back to, we can also switch to armor type, and as you can see, we got plate for armor type here. But let's switch back to our items, and we have plate. We have our plate armor, and here, as you can see, we had armor as a type, and below, as a child of this armor, we have plate name, plate value with type subtype because it has value 1. So this subtype is here and has value cloth, leather, mail, plate, and so on. So if you will click on armor, it will basically present all armors, because it will present all elements with value armor, with type armor, and if we will click on our plate, it will present all elements from our atavism, which with value with subtype of value plate. So here is our plate breastplate 01, and it has value subtype value plate, so it will be presented in this group. But we can expand it further, so we have submenu again, and we have another values here. We can of course change this array, we can expand it, we can say we want more. So we have head, chest, gloves, but we can define more, like let's say what we have in the, this is type 2, so we want to have in this section slot, and slots, we got slots like head, shoulder, legs, let's say legs, so legs. So this name will be presented in the auction house tree, and this value will be compared to slot because it has value 2, so it will be slot, and our slot has legs here. For this item we have chest, so this item will be part of the plate. If we'll click on our armor, it will be part of our armor because it has item type armor. If we will click on plate, it also will be presented because it has subtype plate. But if we will click on legs, it won't be presented because this item has slot chest, not legs. But if we will switch, for example, to this item, then it will be, this item will be presented because it has slot legs. So basically, this is how this tree will work in the user interface. So let's save the scene. Let's unload it. And basically, let's see auction house in action. So let's enter play mode. Let's log in. Let's enter the game. So after we enter the world, we can open auction house interface by clicking on this back. Let's drag the window a bit to make it more visible. And as you can see in the left section, we have this tree which we defined, and we changed this definition a bit. So if we will expand armor, expand plate, we can see that we have here this legs element which we added in the canvas section in the main world scene. In the top section of the window, you can see that we have three tabs, 3 buttons. First is buy items, and it will present listed on the listed items on the auction house. The list is empty at this point because we don't have any items in the auction house. Second option is sell items. If we will click on it, you will see that we have some bunch of items here, and these items are basically taken from the backpack and presented as a list. So only items which have flag auction sellable are presented here. So I will show you if we will head into Atavism editor again and into the items, and in the for example edit, it can be even, let's say, this sort, this rare sort, and we have this checkbox auction sellable ticked. So this item will be presented presented to sell, to list on in the auction house. Here also is purchase cost, and this purchase cost, if you can see, we have 240 bronze. So if you will see, we have 2 silver and 40 bronze here. So this price is taken from the item itself and presented as a default price, which will be taken into account when you will want to list an item. So for example, let's take this bag of goods and let's click on it. So here's this bar. We can drag it and we can change the number of items. We can also put the number here, and it will be refreshed. So here is the price, default price per item, and total price multiplied. This is basically the price multiplied by the quantity price, by the quantity amount, sorry. And here is the commission. So the commission is calculated as 16. So we can check what values we have in the game settings. So let's open Atavism editor again, server, game settings, and let's navigate to our auction parameters. And as you can see, we have auction start price value to 1, and we have auction start price value percentage to 10%. So basically 10% and plus 1. So let's check if it's correct. So we have 10% from basically 150 bronze, it's 15, and plus 1, it's 16, as you can see. So let's try to list the item on sale. Let's click list. And as you can see, the amount was decreased by the value, by the amount which we put on sale. So if we will navigate to buy items, let's check this item. This was consumable, so let's navigate to consumable. And as you can see, there is 10 bag of goods, 15 bronze each. So if we will want to buy it, we can buy it as well. And as you can see, the price will change accordingly. And in the buy section, as you can see, we have current buyers and current sellers. So we have only one seller because we put this item on sale before. Let's put one more. Let's say we want to sell one item, but we can see that someone is trying to sell 10 items, or many people will try to sell 10 items in total for 50 bronze per item. So let's say I want to be the first one to sell this item. So let's set the price to 14 and let's list the item here. So now we have the cheapest, the lowest price is 14 and total number is 11. So let's try to buy it, and as you can see, it is basically suggesting us that we can buy it for 14 bronze, and it will be one item. If we will try to drag more, you can see that another position will be highlighted. So it is basically highlighting that we will have to buy it for next price, so for 15, and the total price is here. Also, if you want to, let's assume that we want to buy it, but we don't want to pay 14 for this bag of goods. So let's say I want to pay 10 only. So as you can see, the list price changed to place order, and we can say we want to place order up to the stack limit. So the stack limit is 20, and we want to buy 20 bag of goods for 10 bronze per item. So auction house will basically block our 2 silver coins until someone will basically sell this item for us for 10 bronze. So let's place this order here. And if we will now try to buy the item, we will see that someone or many people, we don't know that, placed an order to buy 20 items for 10 bronze. So we can of course add more, but if we will want to sell an item and we have 7 bag of gods in our backpack right now in our inventory, let's just click on it. Now auction house suggesting us that we can instantly sell 7 of these items to someone for 10 bronze. We can of course say that we don't want to sell it instantly, we want to put this on sale for example 12, and this time it will basically set the maximum amount, maximum number of our item, and we can list this item. Let's say we want to list 5, and now if we will click, you will see that we have 5 items for 12. We can check this in our my transactions section. So we are buying 20 bag of goods for 10 bronze per item. We are selling 3 groups. We bought nothing, we sold nothing, and nothing is expired yet. So let's try to simulate some transaction. Let's say we want to sell 1 bag of goods. Let's sell it instantly for 10. And now, as you can see, only 19 bag of goods are in the orders tab, and we have an email. So we received an email that basically that we bought partially this amount which we wanted. So auction house is informing us that that we bought partial amount of this bag, of this item. And in my transaction section right now we have 19 of this element left. We bought 1 from by using order, and because we were also buyer and seller, we sold also 1 because we basically sold it to ourselves. Now we can take these items, and we can take these items and we can take currency. So we have 2 bag of gods again. Let's try something else. Let's try to list, for example, a sword on sale. Let's keep the price. Let's set another sword. So I could show you some filters. Let's sell some items. Some more items here. Let's list them. And as you can see, if you will switch to buy items here, if we will navigate to weapons, we can see that we got swords here. If we will switch to staff, this basically great swords won't be presented. So we can sort them by price by clicking the header of this column. We can sort it by name, and we can sort it by count number. Of course, we have only 1 of each, so it won't be sorted at all in this case. We can also filter it by rarity, so we can say we don't want uncommon elements, and as you can see, only rare sort. So we don't want common element here, so only the the uncommon sort left here. If we will untick the second one, these elements, this way we can sort elements on our list. We can also check that, we can also see that one of our sort requires level 5. So let's say we only want items, let's say between level 6. So this item which requires level 5 won't be presented on our list here. Here are also additional filters like classes and races. So if some item will require some additional parameters like class or race, you can filter them as well. You can also put the name here. So maybe let's switch to materials. And here I can show you how filters, how sorting by count by number will work. So basically we have 1 pink star and 9 iron ores. So if we will filter it, you can see that it's sorted differently. But now we can also narrow it down to, let's say, pink star. So if we will start writing here in the search field, you can see that it was narrowed down to the proper name. And we can of course click from here and try to buy it or place an order, because we don't want to spend 25 gold for this item. So let's say I'm able to spend 10 silver, and I will place an order. So if we will click, then you can see that there is an order for 10 silver for this item. So I think I covered everything. It's really adjustable, configurable module in Atavism, and really flexible. As you can see, there are many filters here. There are these elements are sortable also, simply by just clicking the proper column, and it is presented as a arrow up and down, green and red arrow. You can narrow it down by heading or expanding proper section here. And you can of course adjust this tree view as I showed you before in the for example main world scene, basically in the world scene or instance scene in the Dragon Sun canvas. So that's all for this tutorial. I hope you like it and enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.